Week was a good show, man. Oh, looks like we're live. All right. Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to Digital Shop Talk Radio. Don't mind that, technical difficulties and getting started about a minute late. We got an awesome producer, Dustin, handled it like a boss. And so was able to bring all of this knowledge that we're about to drop on you right now. We're going to be talking about workflow and how to keep your techs at capacity, how to keep those bays at capacity, how to keep those customers happy, and that money raining into your account. And I got nobody better to talk about implementing strong workflow and growing your business than Fred Gestwicki. Fix It with Fred. Fred, awesome to have you on, buddy.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for inviting me, brother. I appreciate it.
Always, man. So let's get right into the nuts and bolts. I hope everybody's got a pencil and a pad of paper handy. You're going to want to take notes because, what's funny thing, Fred, is that we talk about, a lot of times, you talk workflow. What is workflow? And if you ask 10 different people, you probably get 10 different answers about what is workflow. And then if you ask those 10 people again, how important is workflow in your business, you probably get 10 new answers, right? Because it seems I run across guys who say, workflow, I just work on them as fast as I can. And, I do the next one. And then you get people that say, gosh, workflow is important to my business. And maybe I've got a whiteboard that we update every once in a while, or we've got some attempt but it's not really as effective. And then you talk to folks that are like, I can't operate my business without workflow. I have hired a person that manages my workflow, and it's critical to my success. And the thing that strikes me is when I'm talking to these guys, you think that, oh, well, that's the big high volume shop that's so the workflow is so important to. That's why. But now in reality, I think it doesn't matter the size of your operation, does it?
Tom, I'm right with you. It could be a 5-store chain with 100 employees, really monstrous, like Shop Mahals, or a single man owner operator where it's one guy answering the phone, getting the parts. All of them have a workflow. And what you said speaks volumes to me. You ask people, you get a different answer. Workflow's this, workflow's that. They're all doing the same thing. They're just identifying it differently. That's a key part of workflow, is everyone's doing the same thing in every shop. They have a customer with a concern. They bring the car in and address the concern. They contact the customer, and then they proceed and finish the car. It's very basic. Everyone will agree that is the workflow in an auto repair shop. They have a concern, you address it, and you just work through it. But people choose to put emphasis on different parts of that workflow, different things like, well, we got to make sure we order parts. We got to make sure we talk to the customer. We got to make sure that they get their inspection, that they get all their different stuff. Everyone picks what's important to them. And it's interesting. Everyone has a different answer, but if you group all the answers together, no one's right, no one's wrong. It's all for the same goal: get the car back to the customer with what they want to have done, and a proper education about that car.
Yeah, in an efficient manner that keeps your techs busy and they don't want to quit. You know what I mean? And you're making enough money to pay the bills, keep mama happy.
Yeah, you got to keep the technician happy, the advisor happy, the customer happy. You got to keep the car happy.
Yeah, right.
The car, but everything's got to be happy. It's got to work for everyone.
Yeah, sure. And so, because it's funny, and I've seen all types of variations. Like I said, I've seen whiteboards. I've seen different color bags, and clipboards are sideways or this way, or they try to do some Jenga puzzle with their clipboard rack to try to make some sense of it. But really, when you break it down, it is as simple as that. It's what are the steps that you need to put that vehicle through to get it, intake and then back to your customer in the manner that you promised them and what you're charging them for, right? And sure, so your business model and your shop might have variations on there or additional steps inside of there. But at the end of the day, it's the problem I think comes, Fred, is that at some point we look at it and it's all jumbled up now and we don't know what goes where, and we think that things are being handled and we don't find out until it's too late, and it impacts our reputation and the customer service.
Right. And then that can leak into your online reputation. You start getting those unhappy customers, you start getting those 1-star reviews, your retention numbers go down, your frequency goes down, and that's when you go, I need more cars. In reality, you had enough cars, but you didn't handle those cars right. And it's all based, like you said, off workflow. Workflow is the spine of the automotive industry. It's the most important thing is when the car's in your shop, getting it in, getting it handled, getting it back to them. That's what the customer wants. That's what the tech wants. Everybody wants it. We just got to accomplish it, Tom.
Yeah, and that's brilliant what you said, and that's one of the hardest things to do, because we think to ourselves, I need to make money. I got to pay the bills. I need more cars. And it's almost fuel on the fire. If you don't have your workflow managed successfully and you dump more cars into it, you get a bigger blaze. And so what did it look like for you? I mean, how did you transition from kind of herding kittens with a stick and maybe some carrot to being able to, I don't know, I heard that you're working on being a absentee owner a couple of times a week.
Yeah, it's something, there's a structure to it, Tom. What we did, like I mentioned, we all have a workflow. It happens. If you just say, here, this Jimmy told me he needs brakes. Tell me what you think. Workflow started automatically. You got the keys, the workflow started. So establish what people like. Let the workflow happen. And we watched and saw how the techs worked through the cars, what steps when we were paper, where the RO passed hands. And that's how we used to track our workflow. Wherever the RO was is where the workflow was.
Yeah. Sure.
So when you go paperless, well, good. Now I have no way to track anything. And we did that with a different company. We went paperless and we found workflow steps, and they were okay. But the problem was everyone was staring at the workflow steps. We were too focused on the workflow steps. So what we found is when the responsibility of the car to move on changes, that's when the workflow step changes. So the car comes in, our first step is dispatch. That's just the car's here. We'd invented that workflow step so that our customers won't receive text notifications when they drop the night before. It works really well for us. We can hold cars that aren't on the tablet for the text yet. So we get them in the dispatch. We figure out who it's going to. Once the advisor has dispatched it, they put it on waiting on inspect. So now the advisor is no longer in control of that workflow step. It's changed responsibility to the technician. So when the tech does whatever they're going to do, the service is irrelevant. They send it up to the advisor for creating estimate. That is where the tech they forget about that car. They don't have to worry about it. The workflow is now in the hands of the advisor. They get their estimate made, send it to the customer. You're waiting on an approval. And when you're waiting on an approval, now the customer is responsible for moving the car. So we go through there, waiting on work finish. The tech is responsible for moving the car to the next step. And then when it's ready for pickup, the advisor has advanced it there and it's waiting on the customer to pick the car up. So we do it in our shop off of who is responsible to move it. So we don't have a parts person specifically. Our advisor and CSR share that responsibility. But if I had a parts person, I would think creating estimate would be a great spot. The parts guy would get involved. You may even have where there's making parts prices. After the work's approved, you might have gathering parts or waiting on parts. This is all customizable based off of what each shop does. A little one-man shop, he might only have 4 workflow steps. Waiting on the inspection, waiting on the approval, waiting on the work finished, and waiting on a pickup, because some of those other spots stay with one person.
Yeah.
But the key thing is to know, what can we do so it's clear who is responsible to move the car to the next spot in line? How do we advance this car through our shop efficiently? So with that all being said, you mentioned I get to be absentee a couple days a week. I've been working on some leadership tactics and leadership growth in myself, where when you build a shop, it's your baby and you don't trust anyone to take care of it, because no one could take care of it as good as you did because you built it.
Of course.
And I've realized that the way that I got better as a technician, as a leader, as a manager, as a whatever, is by messing up really bad and learning from those mistakes and never forgetting those mistakes. And if I stay on top of my people, they never get to experience that. I'm inhibiting their ability to grow. So a big belief of ours is that if we fail, we have to make sure that failure is the best lesson possible. And I found I had a day where I had enough stuff to do, not here, that I was gone for the whole day. And the feedback I got from that day was it was the best day ever. I'm pretty confident I'm not terrible to work for because everyone's happy and my turnover's low. And I'm pretty confident that we have a good system and team environment, but there's something about your title. When you're the owner, no matter how nice you are, you're still the owner and you're still in the room. And when you leave, those birds can open their wings all the way. They can fly much higher. They can crash much harder and feel that pain more. And for about a month, we've been where I don't come to my shop Tuesday or Thursday. I work from my house. Being a paperless shop, that's actually very, very simple. I can do all of my job from home, but that all goes along with those workflow steps, Tom.
Yeah.
If we didn't have a good workflow set up and I was managing the workflow through the shop, how's the car going to ever get done?
Exactly.
You set up that workflow step where the technicians are getting all their needs met, the advisors are getting their needs met, the customers getting their needs met. Everyone's clear as to what's going on. Put it on display and then just walk away. You don't have to worry about where the car is. And if I want to know, how's Jimmy's car doing? All I do is pull up my TVP and I can know what we're waiting on for the next thing. And I can do it from my house. I can do it from my office. I can do it anywhere I want and just see what's going on.
On your phone.
That workflow step, having defined workflow steps that fit your shop's culture and your shop's work ethic helps everything be better. No one's ever wondering what they're supposed to do. It makes a clear path of how you get to success.
Yep. No, exactly. You know where the lines are, you know what the expectations are. And like you said, spread your wings and go fly there, go get it done.
And crash. Don't forget the crash, Tom.
You know, and that has to happen, right? And then I think that's the hardest part of letting go from the management perspective, right? Is to say, well, gosh, it's my reputation, my this or that on the line. And so I'm going to control it and manage it, make sure that it doesn't. And I think I had the same epiphany in my career at one point, is where I had failed and forgot something and scrambled. And then all of a sudden I realized my staff not only executed it, they did it better than if I was there. And so that's a big kind of pill to swallow at first. At first you say, gosh, am I worthless? But then you say to yourself, you know what? I trained these people well. They did their job. They executed when they had to. They knew what my concerns are, right? They knew how to pull off this event the way that I would have expected it to be done. And then they did it that way. The feedback was fantastic. It was like I, was there the whole time. Nobody needed to know anything different. And then from there, like you said, there's a big world of possibilities to you, because how long and how needlessly have I been focusing on who pushes what, when, and why, versus leaning back, looking at the big picture. How do I take this good trained machine to the next level and find more opportunities out there? And then, like you said, build myself the process and plan to get there. And it all starts, I think, with having the basics down, that workflow down inside of your shop, to where, like John Long said, the hit by the bus rule, right? If you got hit by a bus, do you pull the shade down and turn the sign off and we're closed today, we don't know what to do? Or, you got to take care of that next person in line with a big smile on your face as if there's nothing wrong.
Right. And you brought up a great point, Tom. There was a day where I realized if I was the smartest person in the room, I'm not going to get better. I want to surround myself with people smarter than me, better than me, faster than me, quicker than me, everything more than me, so that I can become better. And by setting up the workflow how the owner wants, that sounds like a good idea when you say that and you're the owner. But if you work there, you're like, oh gosh, I got to do what this guy wants, but I don't like it. So when you set up your workflow, you've got to be okay with your team saying to you, hey, we changed this step. We reached out to our product advisor. We found out that this workflow step wasn't working for us, and they found a solution. We already implemented it, and it's helping us.
Yeah.
And the owner goes, oh, okay, good job. Instead of, hey, this workflow doesn't work, or even better, car's not getting done, customer's upset. You've got to make sure that what you have is working. And even if it is working, be open to the thought that it could stop working. And you might not be the one to notice it stopped working. Someone might identify this problem, and you've got to let them fix it for you. This is the core of your business. This is the core of the automotive repair industry, is getting the car through the shop. And what we're doing today, I almost guarantee you will not be working in 10 years when cars are electric, when cars are hybrid, when cars need service once a year. It's not going to work. We have to be willing to change. So it's something that once you get it working, you've got to be cognizant that it's not going to stay working forever,
Yeah. And that's a great point, because, I've talked to a lot of shops that successfully adopt the program. And I think almost across the board, they say, I got my crew involved. I got my techs involved. In other words, if I were to implement it, I would say something like this. Here's the best practices from AutoVitals or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Here's how it should be used. Now, let's kind of figure it out from here. And then if I take the input and they go, well, this should happen before this, or this should happen after this, or, we should do it like this instead of like this. And I start to refine it to my operation as we go along, with technicians' involvement, with the service advisors' involvement. Well, guess what? They own it. They're the ones who told you it's better, and so it should work better. And so now they don't have the excuse to say it's not working because of the thing, right? Because they're the ones who defined that thing. And really, I think if you take it from simple, straightforward, front to back, here's our process, like you said, move the vehicle, you got to pick it, you got to take it in, you got to return it in the condition that they paid to receive it in. And in between there's a lot of nuance, or there can be. But and that's where I think the workflow tool with, the today's vehicle page becomes so powerful, is to say, if you did have that parts guy, I could strip him out, right? The service writer doesn't need to see the parts stages. And inside of that parts stage, you could have 2 ready to order parts, parts on order, delivered parts. Or like you said, I could have a lot of different, how do I manage the core? What's the process for recording that and returning it? What is the process for getting them out to the parts bin, or, pulling from the shelf and packing them with what came off the truck, or whatever it might be? I can define all that in more process steps that only that part of your team even needs to see. The rest of the team doesn't even see those columns, because they don't need to. And so the more level of detail, if it makes sense in your operation without going analysis paralysis, right? If it makes sense, if we should be able to find it in this stage, or it's going to be there, like you said, if I'm handing off ownership, then it gets handed into a new workflow step. Then the hit by the bus rule applies. At any point in time, if something's on fire, you need information right away. You can not only locate, not only find out what to communicate, but actually probably give some, deliverable date, some ETA on when you're going to get the next step done to manage those customer expectations. And so, go ahead.
I wanted to give you something with that. You said a lot of really good stuff, and something I like a lot. Right after this radio show, my wife has her coach call with our ATI coach, Kim. She was on last week.
Yeah.
So as soon as we're done, I have to walk out and take over running the shop for a half hour. You know what that conversation looks like? All right, you're going to your call? Yep. All right, talk to you in a half hour. Because we don't have to communicate. Everything's in the workflow step. I know what cars are in what stages just because I can look at the today's vehicle page and see. And when you mentioned let the team build it because there's more buy-in, that is so strong, because what if they build it and it doesn't work? Yeah, they don't have that thing to complain about. They built it and it doesn't work. So instead of coming to you, hey, Tom, we're at Tom's Automotive, we built the workflow step that you have, and that workflow step isn't working. Now they're giving you a problem because you need more to do. Instead, they built it. It doesn't work. So let's fix it. And they get together and they come up with a solution, and they might not even tell you. And you might go to the TVP and go, what's this new step? What is this? They're like, oh, we fixed it because this wasn't working what we built. So we already fixed it and it works great. And you said, okay, best case scenario. And from the customer's perspective, when you define your workflow steps and you follow them every single time, that customer is getting that consistent experience. Jimmy came in and got brakes. He was so happy with what he did. He told them, they texted me at this point. They texted me at this point. They text me at this point and they tell their buddy Bobby next door, Bobby, you need brakes. You need to go there. And instead of them going there and they don't get the text because the advisor forgot to send the inspection or whatever came up, you make that workflow step gold. They can tell their friends and their friends will get that exact same experience. And then when they revisit you again, they get that same experience. When things are inconsistent, people say no. People run away.
Yep.
And when you define that consistency and you stick with it, and the techs love it, the customers love it, the advisors love it, the owner loves it because it brings money in because everyone's pumping all the time.
Yes.
No one's stopping. So I just had a couple strong points you brought up that really spoke volumes to me, Tom, that building that consistency for the shop team and for the customer is golden. It really, really helps with everyone's experience. And in reality, you can't just make your customers happy. You have to make your employees happy and your customers happy and their cars happy in order for any of this to keep going on.
Yeah, and that's, because and I never really thought about it, but I do it every day. If I know exactly what to expect, and I know I've reviewed my previous inspection, I know I'm going to be told I need these brakes. Guess what? On my way over, I've already bought them in my head. Don't you think? And then if I don't get that same experience, and now I see what you're saying is that something's unexpected, surprise. Now I have to think about it. I have to rethink it. Here comes maybe the doubt that starts to come in. And now I'm starting to get objections or questions about, do I really need to get it done today? I've lost all that work that I've already established. And if I do it consistently, it's already accepted. I talked to you at pickup last time. I saw the service reminders you sent me. I got the appointment confirmation. I'm driving over there thinking, yeah, gosh, what's this bill going to be? I know I need the brakes. I know I need this. I need the flush. They told me about the BG stuff. I'm doing some math. I already expected. So when you drop it on me, I go, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Okay. But if I have to think about it again, then all of a sudden it does become bad. It's just like I'm back to the beginning step of being educated on it the first time and questioning whether I need to get this work done. So in reality is that that in a nutshell is the workflow. I mean, just ask McDonald's, right? It's not like they're not, they haven't taken a process and a consistent, and just made it into a gold mine, right? And I'm not saying be McDonald's. I'm saying give a consistent customer service experience, and it starts with your workflow. That's what it's for. Yes, it's going to help you to keep the bays stacked. It's going to help you to find and manage the fires, or even prevent fires, is what I really like about it, because you see things starting to fall apart or stack up, and you can take an action before it becomes a fire. But more than anything, the customers know what to expect. If they know what to expect, you're going to get more yeses.
That's McDonald's is such a good example, Tom. If we're driving out in the middle of North Dakota where there's nothing but dirt and grass, and we're hungry, Tom, and we talked about it. You and I are driving from Ohio to California, and an hour goes by, and now we're hangry. I mean, we're starting to fight over it, and we see Joe's Diner and McDonald's. It's 10 o'clock at night. I hate McDonald's food. It's nasty. That's my opinion. But I'm getting McDonald's because I know exactly what I'm going to get, because I'm not going to go to Joe's Diner and get some 4-day-old gravy with some overcooked pork chop or whatever they're going to offer. Yeah. People go to McDonald's. McDonald's is successful because of that consistency. Yeah. Whether you go here in Canton, Ohio, there in California, we go to China, you get the exact same quarter pounder every time, everywhere. And people love that. They don't like their food. Yeah. No one likes McDonald's foods except kids, and it's because of the toy in the box. That's the only reason they sell Happy Meals, is that stupid toy. It's not the fries. It's not the nuggets.
Yeah, I think Congress told them they can't put the drugs in the food anymore. So heck,
I mean, that's the only reason they sell anything, is they're consistent. It's not the quality of their food, because it's not good. It's not. There's nothing else about McDonald's except they are bulletproof consistent. They're a franchise model, and even if you have one shop with one tech and one advisor, if you can be consistent to that customer, and like you said, you're driving in, you build this expectation of what's going to happen, and when that happens, it's okay. But when that doesn't happen, you now have a failure on your hands, and your failures are about to call you and ask you questions: why my brake pads got bigger, why you didn't check my tires, because I noticed you didn't check them. I read the inspection 4 times. That's why my research time's 500 seconds. That inconsistency, how are you going to sell somebody brakes? How are you going to sell somebody anything if they don't get that same exact experience every time? Consistency builds trust. Trust builds sales. Sales equals money. And that's where growth comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really, and so because it's funny, we see a lot of conversations. A lot of people might be, shy about using the workflow notification. But again, that's another one of those things that helps you to set that consistency. If you put yourself in your customer's shoes, it's just that little peace of mind that says, yeah, they're doing something. Whoop. Now I can put that out of my mind. I don't got to think about Fred for another hour or two, because you know what? He's doing something.
You know what that is, Tom? If you take your car somewhere or pick something, not a car, you got a hot tub and it's broke, and they come and they pick it up and they take it to the hot tub shop, and then it's the next day. You wonder what's happening. Yeah. There's a wonder. And the purpose of the workflow notifications is to remove that wonder. When somebody has a situation that they've never experienced before, and every oil change is that, because they've never experienced that exact oil change, you're going to inspect their car and find stuff. They know what you're checking. They don't know what you're going to find. They wonder, have they checked my car yet? They build an expectation. I think they'll be done by 10 o'clock. I just think so. Why? Because they never called me. And they said it takes an hour. I dropped it off at 9, so it should be done at 10, right? And when you set those workflow notifications, that removes the wonder, and you got to manage that expectation at the drop. I've got your phone number. Yeah, I can text you. Yeah, I can text you. Okay. You open the RO while they're standing there. You should have received a text from me. Can you confirm you got that text? Yeah, I did. All right. Well, we're going to send you some more text to keep you updated. So anytime something changes, go to that text. And even if you click the wrong one, it'll still tell you where your car is progressing through our workflow. And so now you've removed all wonder ever. If they wonder, they don't need to call you. They don't need to guess. They can just click. They can text you, and you're managing that expectation and removing that wonder, Tom. And that's a beautiful thing. We do that consistently every time.
And that's a great point, because, when I talk to people about why they don't, because what you should do if you want to deliver that consistent experience and at least experience it, what do you have to lose, right? In your shop, think about this consistency, thinking about not breaking that expectation in the customer's mind as they're driving over, and you'll see you get higher success rate, right? You sell better, you sell more. But at the same time is to say, how do I want to get there. How do I get there? Go to help.autovitals, get on Facebook, looking for special markers, look for the workflow status notifications. And because, I talk to guys all the time, Fred, and they're like, oh, well, we don't want to use that because, and I think you addressed it brilliantly, is they say, I don't want to tell, I build them for 2 hours and I don't want to show them that I just intook the vehicle and then I'm done with it in an hour. Well, you don't have to show them that. And it's not like they don't realize that you charged them 2 hours and they dropped the vehicle off at 8 and they're picking it up at 5 and it's going to be there that whole time. They didn't expect that you were working on it the whole time, and I only have to pay for 2 hours of that 8 hours that you worked on it, or 9 hours that it was in there. So it's setting the expectation, just like what Fred said, is that if you know this, and this is how we communicate, and the process is starting right here. This doesn't mean that wrenches are turning. This means that we're focused on your stuff and we're getting it done. And then you right away, when I get that, I get it. I deal with, we're in the business, but for folks that aren't, you told me it's going to be ready by 3. I don't care unless that first notification didn't come at 2:30. Then I might be like, well, wait a second, you're getting the 2 hours done in 30 minutes. As long as you send that out, I know that expectation. Shoot, send out the first notification while they're standing at the counter, right? We checked in your vehicle. Bing. That's what it looks like. You're going to get them as we're progressing this through there. Just like you said, click the link. You'll get the update. We're working on it. We're going to have you out of here at 3 o'clock. We'll see you then. Right. And just implement it. Just try it. Spend a month doing it and look at the data.
And talk to the customers. When you write an RO, they're going to get a text. If you have them opted in, they're going to get a text. So text them while they're standing there and say, I just sent you a text. Can you verify you got that? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, well, this is the number we're going to text you on. So I want to make sure I'm going to be sending you text. Is that okay? Yes. Or no, if they say no, let me show you how to opt out of text, and you show them where they can pick what kind of communication they get. If they say, yeah, now manage that expectation, let them know if you have any questions throughout the day, but you're too busy to call me, shoot me a text. It's just like your doctor, except I actually get the text you send in and the doctor doesn't. And we're going to send you another text to let you know you have your report. And we're going to have you call us after you read it. Manage that expectation. For the shops that are hesitant for workflow step notifications, our customers that are regular, constant customers, they don't click all the workflow step notifications because they've learned what they are. Yeah, they know the first one just means we started. They don't click it. They know what it is. They know the second one is the inspection. They know the third one is a review of what we did. So they click the second and third one a lot. And they know the last one is it's done. So if you manage that expectation, your customers will get used to it, and just, ask them, can I text you? When they say yes, do it right in front of them. Yep. Tell them what you're going to do. I'm going to text you up to 4 times today. Is that okay? And if they say no, show them how to opt out. And then they'll be like, and so you just go right here. You can turn them right back on anytime you want. And that way you're being sensitive to their needs. You're being sensitive to, because that's the fear. You don't want to make the customer mad. They'll never come back, and they'll tell their friends to never come to you.
Yeah. No surprises, right?
But they might want to have you text them, because most people don't say, hey, here's my phone number, call me. Everyone says, here's my Snap, here's my Instagram, here's my text me. No one gives you a phone number to call. So why would a shop be the only place that they want phone calls from?
Exactly. You just have to show them what's possible. You have to educate them on how to use it to communicate. Nobody wants to look like a chump. And then once you have that, hey, just like you said, I don't even have to open it. It's like a little push notification. It shows up on my screen. My phone vibrated. Oh, they're doing some stuff on my right. All right, good. Perfect. I was going to call them because I was starting to think about it. Right. And then guess what? Now you avoid that extra phone call in. Every single phone call of "Are you done yet?" takes time away from your service advisor's valuable time. If you were to just analyze that through a day and then extrapolate that over a pay period, you'd be surprised at how much time or how much money you're paying to answer a question that text would eliminate for you, right? And it's already built into your program. It's already available for you to use. Talk to the guys on Facebook that are using it and get some ideas. And then again, it's just like Fred says, just about talking to your customer, educate them on how it works in your shop. Once they know it, they're going to be cool with it. If they're not, they can opt out. But for the most part, how intrusive is that, right? I get a little bzz and I go, okay, good. Yeah, car's being inspected. Oh, hey, parts are there. Awesome. It's not too long. Maybe I'll get it early. Woo! And then that whole over promise, under deliver thing really starts to have some teeth, and you get people that are going to go refer you out, right? Because of that. Not only did I know what to expect, hey man, they got it done faster than I expected. They always over deliver with me. I love this shop.
Love it. That's that expectation and removing that wonder. Those are the two keys. That's all that talking about workflow. You're removing the wonder from the technician's mind. I wonder what's going on with this car. I wonder if the parts are here yet. I wonder what I'm supposed to work on next. You're removing the wonder from the customer's mind, and you're managing everyone's expectations. That's the job of the workflow step. Just in my opinion, the summary of this whole talk, Tom, is that your workflow step should make it super clear to everyone, the technician, the advisor, the customer, what's going on with the car, when it's going to happen, what order it's going to be in, and no one's going to wonder what's next and wonder what they're supposed to do to help that car progress. That's all you're doing, is giving everybody job duties, and you're describing a process to them, and there isn't an answer. If I wanted to share my screen and show you my workflow steps, I would be saying, do not copy this. This is not going to work in your shop, because we have like 5 or 6 workflow steps that aren't even on our TVP: long-term storage, loaner waiting on pickup. We use different ones, but it's ones that we don't use as often, and it works for us. You got to find out what works for you. And that all starts with measuring what you're currently doing, what pains are you trying to solve, and just build your workflow around that,
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the beauty of it too, is that build it, measure it, refine it, measure it again, refine it, measure it again. And as long as when you go back to remeasure, it's moving in the direction that you like, keep doing it and keep refining it, because just like what Fred said, is that eventually you notice that they're doing it better than you. They're doing it without you having to tell them. Then you're like, oh, I wasn't in the shop for a day and nobody even noticed. I'm going to try a week next time. Right. And then, gosh, why don't I just have 12 of these things and I'll just spend most of my time in a beach chair somewhere in Belize, So, I mean, that's how you get there. That might be next week or next month for you, but it starts at, believe it or not, it starts at workflow management and implementing those best practices, getting your crew on board with it. And once they understand it, they're hit by the bus. They know what to do. They know what the next step is. They're not standing there spinning in circles and burning your money. Stuff starts happening, and success just breeds more success. Happy customers bring more happy customers to you. Happy customers make a lot of happy techs and happy service riders and happy shop owners. And then I think, I don't know, what do we sing Kumbaya on the outro?
Good, brother. We could. We need a bonfire, though. That's the only problem, right?
Yeah, man. Hey, buddy, I know you got a hard break. I know you got to get over there and cover for Jessica. Tell Jessica I said hi, man. Love you guys. Miss you guys. Thanks a lot for coming on. I know that you gave a lot of inspiration and wisdom to a lot of people that are using the inspection portion, not quite know what that workflowy stuff is. So come in tomorrow for the webinar. We're going to be doing some how-to stuff on special markers and workflow and creating custom workflow steps and how to analyze your workflow and build something that makes sense with you, as long as you got that staff involved and they're giving their input and they're buying in. And then we'll help you get out there and start to implement that and how to track the KPIs to know it's working for you, so you want to do more of it and crack that throttle. So that'll be Thursday. That'll be tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific in the webinar. Of course, tune in next week, Wednesday, same time, same place. We're going to be talking to, actually, I actually have a show update for us this time. I just have to find it real quick. We are going to be talking to, shoot, I don't know, Dustin, I'm going to have you come in and announce who the show is and what the guest is for next week. And then,
we got Devin Kelly on from All Star Auto talking about the value of inspections.
Awesome.
Love it.
Yep. So fantastic. So tune in. Let's talk to Devin next week. Until then, get out there and make some money. We'll see you in the webinar tomorrow. Take it, like I said, take it to Facebook and let's start that discussion. Ask people about how to get started in the workflow and the special markers and the workflow notifications, and let's get them implemented in your shops. Good things are going to happen for you. Thanks a lot, Fred. Thank you very much, Dustin. Until then, till next Wednesday, we'll see you then.